All right, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we are breaking down a match that honestly was supposed to be just a routine group stage fixture, but man, it turned into an absolute clinic of attacking football. Portugal's 5-0 dismantling of Uzbekistan down in Houston, that wasn't just a game. It was a literal generational clash. It was a massive statement of national ambition, and honestly, a tactical masterclass that answered a whole lot of burning questions. Let's get right into it.
Now, to really grasp the stakes here, we've got to look at the vibe right before kickoff. The pressure cooker was absolutely on. Just look at this quote from Cristiano Ronaldo's Instagram right before the tournament. "All eyes are on the World Cup," and he hit the nail on the head. That post got millions of likes, sure, but it also fueled this incredibly intense debate. Remember, Portugal was coming off that highly disappointing 1-1 draw with DR Congo. Global football Twitter was literally split right down the middle. Half the fans were screaming for the 41-year-old captain to be benched, and the other half were totally convinced he'd deliver when it mattered most. So stepping into that stadium in front of nearly 69,000 fans, the tension was just palpable.
Okay, let's dive into this because nothing captures this clash better than the literal matchup on the pitch. Cristiano Ronaldo going head-to-head with Abdulkadir Husanov. On one side, you have the established GOAT, a 41-year-old seasoned legend actively fighting off his critics. And on the other side, the rising star. Husanov is a 22-year-old Manchester City defender who has given an entire generation of kids in Tashkent absolute goosebumps. You know, Uzbekistan is the first Central Asian nation ever to qualify for the World Cup. Their president literally framed this team as the symbol of a new Uzbekistan. So we're talking about the ultimate battle here, a golden generation's biggest hopes going right up against pure, established footballing royalty.
But as we know, ambition and heart can only take you so far when you're up against an elite mastermind. Going back to that previous game against DR Congo, Portugal's offense was, well, stagnant. Ronaldo was completely isolated, he was restricted to just 3 shots, and every single one was off target. The media was even whispering that Roberto Martínez didn't know his starting 11. But Martínez, he went straight back to the whiteboard. He drew up a highly intentional, incredibly specific scheme designed to totally exploit Uzbekistan's defensive weaknesses and completely revitalize his front line.
So if you're a coach watching this explainer, you might want to take notes. Here are the 3 core steps Martínez implemented right from the opening whistle. Step 1, overload the left flank. He wanted total, undeniable dominance on that side of the pitch. Step 2, compress Uzbekistan's defensive block. By pushing incredibly high up the field, Portugal literally suffocated their opponents. And Step 3, play early vertical passes straight into the channels. He actually instructed Bruno Fernandes and João Neves to just bypass the midfield completely at times. The goal was to instantly exploit the high defensive line of the Central Asian side. And let me tell you, it was aggressive and it was absolutely devastating.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer contrast in philosophy. Portugal set up in this fluid 4-3-3 that, when they had the ball, morphed into a crazy aggressive 3-2-5. They relied entirely on that high press and verticality we just talked about. Now, compare that to Uzbekistan. Coached by Fabio Cannavaro, they leaned heavily into this Asian Italy tag. They set up in a super conservative 5-4-1. The strategy? Absorb the pressure and counterattack using players like Eldor Shomurodov. But here's the catch. While Portugal's execution was fluid and completely overwhelming, Cannavaro's naive setup just lacked basic coordination. Those counterattacks, they never even materialized because they simply couldn't get out of their own half. And the main reason they couldn't escape? Well, that comes down to one man, Nuno Mendes. If we're talking about Martínez actively exploiting weaknesses, unleashing Mendes on the left wing was the absolute masterstroke. He was a complete engine of destruction in this match. Honestly, outside of Ronaldo, Mendes was easily the most influential outfield player on the pitch. To really grasp Mendes' impact, we need to look at his specific role as an advanced wingback. Basically, this means he's a defensive player who operates almost entirely in the offensive final third to create numerical superiority. It's like having an extra attacker out of nowhere. He combined flawlessly with Bruno Fernandes and João Felix. Together, they formed this unstoppable triangle on the left side, constantly carrying the ball into high-value areas. They completely overwhelmed the right side of Uzbekistan's 5-man defense. Mendes wasn't just sitting back defending. He was the primary playmaker, orchestrating the whole shebang.
As you know what, that brilliance was rewarded super early, right in the 17th minute. Mendes caps off his absolute dominance with a beautifully whipped left-footed free kick that just bent perfectly around the wall. What a strike! It was the kind of shot that kept the Uzbek defense constantly guessing, and honestly probably having nightmares. It perfectly showcased his soaring confidence and really highlighted Portugal's smart decision to mix up their set-piece threats.
But that early goal, That was just the first crack in a dam that was about to completely burst. This inexperienced Uzbek defense, which, by the way, had shown so much promise during qualifying, was about to totally crumble under Portugal's relentless, overwhelming tactical pressure.
And this brilliantly illustrates how quickly the dominoes fell. It was just a cascade of defensive failures that doomed the White Wolves. First off, their back five lacked basic coordination. For Portugal's opening goal, a super simple 1-2 pass between Mendes and Fernandes completely split the center backs. Boom, just like that. Second, whenever Uzbekistan panicked, they played these direct balls out of the back that Ruben Diaz and Pepe just gobbled up like it was nothing. Now, they did have one tiny glimmer of hope in the 29th minute, this stunning long-range strike by Ganiev. But a cruel yet entirely correct VAR review spotted a foul on João Cancelo in the build-up, so it was completely disallowed. And the absolute nail in the coffin? The 60th minute. A corner flicked by João Felix ricochets off defender Abdulvahid Namadov. Then it bounces off his own goalkeeper and into the net. Just a deflating own goal that perfectly symbolized a team entirely overwhelmed by the occasion.
Now, all of this incredible tactical work, all that high pressing, the total left flank dominance, it was ultimately in service of one massive objective, setting up their 41-year-old captain for an unprecedented, record-breaking afternoon. Think about this. Entering the game, Ronaldo had gone 10 major tournament games without a single goal. That drought dated all the way back to November 2022. But guess what? He answered his critics, and he did it in exactly 6 minutes. So the crucial point is, just how historic was this performance? Let's track this unbelievable timeline together. Right in the 6th minute, Mendes drives forward, slips a perfect pass into the box, and Ronaldo hits a crisp first-time strike. Bam! With that one touch, he becomes the first player in men's or women's history to score in 6 different World Cups. Just incredible. Then, fast forward to the 39th minute, a swift counterattack. Fernandes slides this perfectly weighted through ball, and Ronaldo finishes it calmly. That right there is his 10th World Cup goal, officially passing the legendary Eusébio as Portugal's all-time top tournament scorer and extending his own international record to 145 goals. And by the time the final whistle blew, at 41 years and 138 days old, he was confirmed as the oldest player in tournament history to register a multi-goal game. Honestly, he could have even had a hat trick if a stoppage-time chip hadn't been frantically cleared off the line.
So the narrative leading into this match was this sort of dystopian backdrop of social media criticism constantly asking, is Ronaldo finished? But after 90 human minutes down in Houston, with Portugal sitting pretty at the top of Group K with 4 points, and the White Wolves' dreams hanging by a tiny thread, the global conversation shifted entirely. The massive question on everyone's lips, and the one we absolutely have to leave you with today, is this. Can anyone stop Ronaldo? Are we actually witnessing the final undeniable peak of a footballing god? Or is this just a temporary illusion before Colombia brings them back to earth in Miami? Think about it, let us know, and we'll see you right back here in the next Explainer.